Hello again, Sarah.
Hello.
We got your device in from the laboratory.
Okay.
And I'm going to go over with you how we're going to start the initial break-in of the Walkwell Custom AFO. The first thing that you need to understand is that any orthotic device, doesn't matter if it's a foot orthotic, an ankle foot orthotic, a knee orthotic, a back orthotic, doesn't matter. Any orthotic device takes 2 to 4 weeks for you to break in. It takes that long for your brain to register what we're doing to your foot and ankle. We're changing the way the tendons, joints, ligaments, nerves, and muscles are functioning when you're at rest and when you're ambulating. So I have a very specific break-in protocol that we're going to go through for the next 3 weeks. We have found that the more conservative we are breaking this in, the better it's going to work for you long term. Additionally, I do have an instruction sheet, so everything I tell you verbally is also written down.
Okay.
And I'm going to jot down for you our break-in protocol. Now, I want to make sure you can read my writing here. If you look at the schedule that I've written down for you, week 1, I would like you to wear the device for 45 minutes a day. That's it, okay? Week 2, you bump that up to an hour a day, and week 3, you bump that up to an hour and a half a day. Now, during that time, I do not want you to think that you have to put this on and walk for the entire 45 minutes, hour, or hour and a half, okay? I usually suggest to patients to put it on in the morning when they wake up, when they're getting ready for work, you know, making the bed, getting their breakfast, because some of it can be standing, some can be sitting, and some can be walking. What I don't want is just one of any of those activities. So I don't want you to come home from work, put it on, sit down on the couch and watch TV for an hour. I want you to at least be semi-ambulatory, okay? It is not necessary for you to wear a shoe during the initial break-in just around the house. I want you to be in a familiar environment, and we'll talk more about how that affects the use of the brace. Take that and put it away for you when we're done. You take your name tag off. The next question patients always ask me is, how tight should I put the device on? And my answer is always the same. If you were to forget everything that I told you today, please remember this. We're trying to control the motion of your foot and ankle, not eliminate the motion of your foot and ankle. It's an important distinction. I want limited motion so your foot is still a mobile adapter to the terrain. And if the device was too rigid, it could cause muscle atrophy, which I don't want. Everything we do is based on your symptoms, and I'm trying to make you comfortable. So what I'm saying in a very long-winded way, put it on so it's comfortable. When you have a leather device, we had to soak it and stretch it around the mold of your foot and ankle that we took. When that happens, the leather gets sort of stiff. What happens is it breaks in very similarly to a baseball glove. It starts out a little bit more rigid, although it is flexible. And then, as you wear it, it's going to conform and mold to your feet. And that's what I want to see when you come back in 3 weeks. So we're going to put this on your foot, and you're going to notice that I'm not going to put it on very tightly. You can, however, experiment with how you put it on. Try it tighter, try it looser, see how your body responds to it. Don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. With everything we do, we want you to be comfortable. So to put the device on properly, I do need you to bend your foot to the 90 degrees, just like it was when we made the cast. Then your foot's going to slip in the device perfectly. It's always designed to wear a sock with. When we made the device, we actually put a sock over that mold to mimic the sock that you're wearing right now. So please make sure you're wearing a sock that goes up at least as high as the device, okay? And you're going to notice that I'm not going to put it on very tightly yet. And as you try this different ways, what usually happens is patients start out with it a little looser as it's a little stiffer, and then as they break it in, they just naturally start to tighten it up. Okay, so put it on so it's comfortable. That fits very well. How does it feel?
Good.
Feels okay. Now, when you bring this back at each appointment, most importantly in 3 weeks when I see you back, there's a few things that we're going to be looking at. They give us a lot of information clinically, because ultimately our goal is to have you wear the device the minimum amount of time you need to get relief of your symptoms to see clinical benefit, and that varies by patient. So if you follow that break-in that I wrote down for you, that'll give us a nice baseline to say when you come in 3 weeks, okay Sarah, you wear it the same amount of time, I want you to increase your time or you can reduce your time. Okay, and we'll make that decision when we see you in 3 weeks.
Okay.
So a few things you're going to notice and I'm going to be looking for. As this breaks in, I expect to see some creasing at about a 40 to 45 degree angle on either side, possibly both sides, or maybe none at all. But that can happen, and that gives us important information about how your foot is functioning when you're ambulating. Okay, so I'll be looking at that. It's like an intrinsic hinge. It allows your foot to flex, dorsiflex, up 5-10 degrees, which is okay. What I'm trying to control is the downward flexion of your foot. So when you see the creasing, don't be alarmed. That's designed that way. It's supposed to be like that. Now the next part, the area around the heel, the plastic that's in the device ends here and here. So this part is just leather. When we walk, everybody has a fat pad on their heel. So when your heel hits the ground, the fat pad needs to expand. Well, there's a nerve that runs right down here called the medial calcaneal nerve. And if this was all solid plastic, when the fat pad expanded, when your heel hit the ground, the nerve would be impinged on the side and it would hurt. So what I'm saying is this is going to get very wrinkly because it's designed to flex with the fat pad on your heel. Okay, that's also a design element. And the third and most important part is this area right here. Okay, first of all, now you know why I want you to wear a sock that goes up high enough, because your foot, especially when you're sitting up, wants to flex against the device. And this is where I give my walking demonstration just a little bit. When we walk, the larger the step we take, the farther our foot wants to flex to the ground. Well, I'm trying to control that flexing. So if you try to flex to the ground, it pokes you in the back of the ankle and it hurts. So don't do it. What I want you to do is simply shorten your step and your foot just has to flex a fraction of the amount. Okay? What I'm saying is do not fight the brace. Let the brace do its job. If you feel pressure back there, first make sure you're wearing a sock that goes high enough and make sure you're not taking a stride length that's too long. And that's just during the break-in period, because just like around the heel, the plastic has been removed from this area and this will get nice and soft. It's similar to breaking in a boot. And you'll be able to walk and ambulate normally after you break it in after a few days. Okay? Do you have any questions about that?
Don't think so.
Now the next question patients always ask me is, how soon before I start to feel better? When we see you in 3 weeks, it gives us a good indication of how much you're going to need to wear it to get healing. You're not going to come in 3 weeks and say, Scott, it's a miracle, I'm cured, because you simply haven't worn the device long enough to get permanent healing of the tissues. But I expect you to see improvement. I expect you to say things like, it's less painful, or it's longer before it becomes painful, or when it's painful, it doesn't last as long. And that gives us information clinically as to how to advise you how to wear this. But you can start to feel improvement of your symptoms in as little as a couple days, even just wearing it 45 minutes a day. Okay?
What about a shoe?
The shoe,
I don't know if it'll fit in my shoes.
the shoe is just an important part of the process as the device. And the shoe, since it is our interface with the ground, it's extremely important that the shoe fit properly and the shoe itself is not worn out. So we do have to evaluate the shoes, and if I look at your old shoes, they've seen seen some better days since there's rocks stuck in the sole of them. But generally, when you have a foot problem, you have to start to look at the shoe as part of the modality of treatment. And this shoe has definitely worn out and is going to work against the mechanical conservative therapy that we're trying to do for you today. So a lot of the wear on the shoe before you wear through the heel has actually already taken place in the midsole. So it's time to get a new pair of shoes, which I actually have for you today.
Oh, okay.
They'll actually work with the brace. But generally, any shoe that has an open vent, meaning the tongue will open up large enough to accept it and is fit properly for your foot, meaning that you have 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch beyond your longest toe, will fit the AFO properly. So let's try your shoe on here. As you can see, I just opened the tongue up. I'm going to push on it now. There. And as you can see, it fits nicely in your footwear. Just like that. Okay?
Okay.
Take this off now. So, do you have any questions as to how I'd like you to utilize the device for me over the next 3 weeks?
What about if it gets dirty or something?
If it were to get dirty, there's nothing special you have to do. If you were to get the device wet, let it air dry. Do not stick it in the dryer. Don't stick it out in the sun. Just let it dry naturally because it is leather and it can shrink and change. This device is made out of an orthopedic grade leather, which means there's no chemicals in the tanning process. So please do not put any leather conditioner on it because this breathes. It allows an air distribution between your foot and the air. And if you start adding saddle soap or leather conditioners, that feature is gone. Plus, the chemical can leach through and it can give you a contact dermatitis on your foot. So please, don't add anything you don't need to. It's all heat thermal moldable, so if I needed to, I can make any adjustments when I see you back in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay? Now, to the bureaucratic part of the program. What I have here, and I'm going to go over with you, is our proof of delivery form. The insurance company wants to make sure we gave you what we said we did. So I'm going to go over this with you line by line, okay? As you can see on the proof of delivery, I've put the date, I've put your name, and I wrote right because we did your right foot and ankle. The device itself is called the Walkwell Custom AFO, but what is really important are these 5 codes right here, which I'm going to have you read. The way the billing for this works is these 5 codes describe the Walkwell Custom AFO to the insurance company so they know what it is that we made for you. There's so many different ways for us to design a brace that the combination of codes can be vast, and they need to know, did we make a leather brace, a leather and plastic, carbon fiber? It could even be a shoe with metal bars going up the side like Forrest Gump, which I wouldn't do to you. But this right here does give them the information that they need, and you will see these come through on your EOB, again, from your insurance company. And that's normal, okay? It's from our office. And next, I do have the warranty information, which is standard, which I will have you read over. The part that I really care about here is it says, please do not make any changes to the devices. Don't take them to a shoe store. Don't take them to the garage and start cutting holes in them. If any changes need to be made, let me make them for you, okay? And let me evaluate it, because we can change the prescription as we need to. So I just need you to look this over, and I just need to
Recording.
Okay, I'll let you sign. Down at the X. All right, I'd like you to go up front and make an appointment for about 3 weeks. I want to make sure that you bring in your footwear and the AFO that you just got, okay?
Okay.
Now, if you have any questions between now and when we see you again, please call so we can answer anything that you might have, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks so much,
Thanks.
Sarah. See you, thanks.